Hello everyone, and welcome to my home. While coming up with a subject for my informational speech, I decided to use the newest addition to our family, Fireball. Now, who's Fireball, you might ask? Let me introduce him. Fireball here is an English Labrador Retriever. But before we decided to add him to our family, I was lost as a puppy trying to decide which one was going to be best for our family. Now, if you're looking to get a puppy, by the end of the speech, hopefully you'll be able to tell the difference between an English Lab, like Fireball here, and an American Lab, and the differences in their physical appearance, their temperament, and their hunting or show abilities. Now, according to the American Kennel Club, the Labrador Retriever actually is not from England or America. It originally came from Newfoundland, and the foundational breed is the St. John Water Dog. In the early 1800s, the St. John Water Dog was actually brought to England, where the name was changed from St. John Water Dog to the Labrador Retriever. Labrador being from the geographical location that they came from, and Retriever because they like to retrieve things out of the Labrador Sea. So let's take a quick look at the Labrador Retriever and the difference between an English or show lab and an American or field lab. First off is their physical appearance. Now, labs generally come in three primary colors: a yellow lab, a chocolate lab like Fireball, or a black lab. Generally, labs are a medium to a large size or large breed dog, generally weighing between 65 and 100 pounds. The English lab is a little bit stockier, a little bit shorter, and has a little bit fuller face than the American counterpart, which tends to be a little bit more on the thin side. Both labs' heads should be very broad, but they do have kind and expressive eyes, which are typically brown or hazel in color. Sometimes you can get one that has green eyes, but that is very rare. Now, they have webbed feet, which makes them really good for swimming, and also for being in a snowshoe ability, for being in a winter climate. Their snow doesn't get packed into their paws, which doesn't cause them any sort of pain like a typical dog would. So that way they can go out in the snow and it doesn't hurt them as much. Typically, yellow labs have black noses, but over time, sometimes their black nose can turn pink due to some pigmentation issues that are within the breed. This generalization of turning from a black nose to a pink nose is sometimes called a snow nose or winter nose. Because labs or colors are controlled by multiple genes, sometimes a recessive gene within the breed can surface and change the color of their nose or their pigmentation in other parts of their body. Usually it can be found in their nose, the rings of their eyes, their gums, or their tails sometimes can actually change to a different color. Now, the second thing to look for with a Labrador Retriever is their temperament. Do you want a good working dog who's going to be a little bit more active or hyper, as some people call it? Or do you want a more calmer breed, a more calmer dog that's going to be a little bit better for family life? You're going to get that with an English Lab like Fireball. Basically, labs altogether have a kind and gentle nature about them, and they have a sense of smell that allows them to track multiple targets at one time. And usually once they latch onto one smell, they will track it until they find out where it's coming from. Labs don't typically jump or dig unless they are left alone and unsupervised for an extended amount of time, because they are a curious breed. And because of that, sometimes they can pull a vanishing act on their owners if they're not being watched carefully. That is a good reason why people suggest that you get your labs microchipped, which is a newer technology that has just came out. Fireball himself just got microchipped last week. And what this does is it allows for a veterinarian to scan over the top of his shoulder blades and pick up a receiver that has been injected underneath his skin with all of our pertinent information on it, so that way if he does get lost or stolen, he can be returned home to us. Now, they are great swimmers, like I said, which makes them really good at hunting. And this is where the American lab comes in. So the biggest difference between the English lab and the American lab is at hunting versus show ability. Now, American labs are bred more for being out in the field and being a working type dog. And that is why they call them an American a field retriever. And the English retriever is bred more for being in the show ring. When they first started showing the Labrador retrievers with the AKC, they typically like to have the stockier, shorter Labrador, and that's how the English ones were bred. So it automatically became the English Labrador that became the show type dog. Now, while both field and show dogs have their own differences in being in the ring or being out in the field, they do have some similarities as far as health issues. Hip issues, knee issues, and their elbows are all concerns that they have. But their biggest concern is obesity. Labs are known to be eaters. They love to eat, so if you're not getting them out and exercising them regularly, they will tend to get overweight. This will also bring the other problems that they have with their hips, their knees, or their elbows, gives them a greater cause to have those type of issues if they are overweight. So exercise regularly with your labs. AKC recommends that you get out at least twice a day for at least a half an hour with your labs. They are fun, energetic type dogs, whether they're English dogs or American dogs. So they love to be outside. Let's get them out and exercise them. So now you know the major differences between a English lab and an American lab, like Fireball. So hopefully, with all this information, your decisions about a puppy might be a little bit easier when it comes to the labs. And remember, when you are looking for a lab, their physical appearance, their temperament, and their hunting or show abilities should guide you in making a great addition to your family, like Fireball was to ours.